Welcome to Matrix Tech Talk. Today we have a successful tech entrepreneur, Peter Gliwa, the CEO of Gliwa Embedded System. Peter, welcome to Matrix.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So Peter is a successful entrepreneur, as I said, in the automotive domain. He has more than 20 years of experience in the automotive field. He was also an employee of Robert Bosch's ATAS. And Peter, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, your passion? How did you come up with the entrepreneurship idea?
Yeah, actually it started at ATAS at the time there when I was developing and doing product management for the operating system, embedded real-time system operating systems, the AUTOMOTIVE was called. And after some 3.5, 4 years, you became the expert, and other developers left at that point. So you find yourself as being the one who has got the best overview of the OS, and naturally, whenever any questions come up or problems arise, then they address you, including problems at customers. So more and more often, I had to go to customers and analyze problems, where the customers kind of had the idea, that's something that's related to the operating system. And they were, in most cases, kind of right. It was somehow related to the operating system, but what they actually were facing were timing problems. So that became very obvious that there's a big problem with timing 20 years ago, 18 years ago. And after the, let's say, third or fourth project of that kind, I thought, wait. We need to change something fundamentally. We need to address this timing topic, with a dedicated move. And my idea, the first thing I really needed was the possibility to look into the system. So, and that was actually the beginning of T1, which visualizes what's going on in the system.
Fascinating. So you came up with a technical idea, and that drove your entrepreneurship journey. Was it from your childhood you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or what? How was it from your childhood? Was this your dream from the very beginning?
Yeah, maybe dream is quite a big word, but I always felt like, that's the way to go.
Entrepreneurship is the way to go.
Yeah, self-employed, running your own business. So that was a good match at that time. But you're absolutely right. The main drive at that point in time was just the technology and the great need in the market. And at that time, really also the aspect that when you go to automotive project where the start of production is in danger because of sporadic system crashes or data inconsistencies they can't explain, at that point of time they're not going to ask for some discount or anything. They just want to get that problem out of the world.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. I'm really pumped up and really excited to hear that from you, because I have this experience that there are a lot of really, really fascinating technical engineers, technical people, scientists. They get too caught up with the technology. They are not able to bring it to the entrepreneurship level. They're not able to bring a product out of it.
Yeah, just try. I mean, times have changed so much. I think some maybe 30 years ago, your CV, when there were any gaps or short stays at some company, people had a bad feeling about it. But that's changed. You're welcome to experiment. So I really recommend to try it out, get yourself self-employed, especially when it comes to software development tools or the whole software business. I mean, what do you need? You need a laptop, you need some space, maybe your knees or some cafeteria, and that's it. Wow, that's how cool is that, Anybody getting self-employed some 30, 40 years ago, you had to buy machineries or maybe cars, I don't know. But it's so easy to start your own business today. So just go and try.
Yeah. I love that. I love that vision. So other difficulties that I see with especially really technical geeks, they love their solution so much that they kind of like try to force sell their solution instead of trying to understand the customer's solution. How do you do you know what I'm talking about?
I exactly know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And you being a technical expert, an engineer yourself, you not only you crossed that hurdle, you built a company, successful company for 15 years. So what makes you different from other technical engineers who are not able to cross the hurdle?
When we develop software, we're talking about different levels of abstraction. And maybe we can use that view, that model, that understanding also for when looking at the business. So on the one hand, I think to be successful, you have to have a good technical solution. That's a good starting point, definitely. And then on a low level, that's going to be okay, and not only okay, that's going to be very good. And then you have to have the ability to step back, and as you mentioned, to understand the customer's perspective. Not only look at your solution, your problem, or the problems that you solve, but maybe the customer also has other problems left and right. You can easily solve just by tweaking your tool a little bit, and that kind of stepping back. You could also stay that kind of going up the levels, and then we're back to this level view, and you have to be good at all levels. You have to be good at the technical level, but also on the business level, on the higher levels.
What are the most difficult things that you faced when you started your company 15 years ago?
Well, difficult question, because there was nothing really where I said, that was really very hard. It's maybe I've just been also very lucky. Maybe one really very important thing, which I have seen also failing with partners, with friends or other companies, is really this aspect of your solution. It really has to be a good solution. If it's not, then sometimes you can build a very good story around it. And if you're a very good storyteller, if you're very good on these upper levels, then you can even make money out of it and sell it. But your customers kind of, they will never be super happy, and at some point then you better sell that company before it becomes very obvious that on the low level you're not performing as you are telling to everybody. So just recently I talked to a potential distributor of our tools, and he said something that I really loved. He said, between you and us, it looks like a good match, okay? And so you can say the potential distributor, we are very good surfers. We're cool guys, and we're extremely good. We're really good surfers. But what does a surfer need? Well, they need a wave. The best surfer, can't do anything without a good wave. And the product is the wave. And, you better give me a good wave. And then we can do something fascinating.
I love that, yeah. Okay, so your product was really the quality of the product, and you really served the customer's need. That was the key. Now, did you raise any venture capital money?
No, actually not. And at the beginning it was not the product itself. It was mainly engineering, and the product was an enabler. Mm-hmm. So the product functioned as a door opener, and then mainly I sold engineering services, and then I started hiring people, and we did more engineering, and at some point we really focused on the product development. So you could say over the time the engineering share of what we did went down, and the licensing went up. So in the meantime, it's really mainly the embedded system company is mainly a product company. doing the engineering services around the product. However, there still is a big demand for engineering services, and these we are addressing with a second company, the Gliwa Engineering, founded in 2016. And now to answer your question regarding VC, venture capital, so our plan is to keep the embedded systems company independent. So we're not going to pull in any investors there, because I just love independence. You have the opportunity for long-term decisions, no awkward discussions about money or anything, with the obvious drawback that growth is limited. So, of course, I mean, and that's a situation we're facing for many years now, that the demand is higher than what we actually can deliver. So we're losing a lot of business because we can't grow fast enough. Yes, okay, that's the downside, but the upside is really the independence. Mm-hmm. With the Gliwa Engineering, maybe at some point in the future we'll pull in some VC, but... Mm-hmm.
So you have structured your company, as we were talking, there are 3 companies right now.
That's right. So I mentioned the embedded systems, you could say product company, the engineering, which is, service company, obviously. And then there is a third one, Gliwa Limited in North England, in York. But that's actually kind of a development department. So we have our embedded software developers located in New York. And they've got just one customer, the embedded systems in Germany.
And why have you chosen UK as your development facility? Is that a strategic decision? Do you get embedded developers there more available than the German market?
The starting point really was that during one of the research projects we did, I got to know one really super expert who happened to live in York. So that was kind of the starting point, but others joined. And it's a good setup because the office is located at the university grounds, and they have a focus on embedded software and these kind of things. So it's a good fit. But talking about employees and finding people you can hire, I must say we're not facing big problems there. Probably the reason is the way the product is structured, or the way the product works means that we have a very close relationship to our customers. So we spend quite a lot of time with working at the customer site, working with customers together. A lot of people get to see our products, get to see our engineers, get to talk to them, and then you've got from other engineering companies, some people talking to our guys, and so we've acquired a lot of through those channels. So it's really mainly word of mouth. We don't spend a lot of money on HR.
Sounds really fascinating. You have a full organic growth up to this stage from the very beginning. No venture capital money. Just as a side note, I really love that too, because Matrix has also received no venture capital money, no external cash injection.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. So tell me a little bit about your growth in the last 10 years. How has been the growth, the organic growth?
I don't know the growth over the past 10 years, but last year I had a look at the figures, and over the past 8 years at least, it's been beyond 25 per year.
Beyond 25%.
Percent per year. So there were some years where they were dramatic, and then during the crisis, 2009, went down a bit, but the average is over 25%.
Over 25%. So what's your strategy? You have structured the company. You're planning to, or you're open to at least some venture capital investment. So what's your strategy? Do you want to take venture capital money to grow the engineering bit, and in which direction do you want to grow?
So that's an option, and but yeah, we'll see how. So when or if that's going to become what's going to happen regarding VC. Talking about the strategy, a couple of years ago, we had to have a decision, but because we were very focused on the German automotive market, and that's maybe a little too much focus. So talking about, recommendations for other people thinking about getting self-employed. Try to spread it a little bit, and that's the situation we were in a couple of years ago. And at that point in time, we had two options, actually boiled down to two options where to invest. So one would be other domains other than automotive, and the other one go international. We decided for the international path, and looking back from today was a good decision because so Asia is very important for us. So in 3 weeks I'll be flying to Korea. Our distributor gives a conference once a year. I'm going to give a talk there. Super fit, and so there we have really a team supporting our product. Or they're actually dedicated to our product, so they're not doing anything else. They do T1 business in Korea. Same for China, for Japan, India. We're in the process of ramping up the US business. We already do a lot of US projects, but it's with zero marketing and zero sales, so there's really a lot of room for growth.
Fascinating. So, what's your revenue in Germany, and what's your international revenue? How's the split right now?
Good question. So Germany still plays a very important role. But it's not 2/3 in Germany, so it's less than 2/3. It's heading towards half of the revenue in Germany and the other half abroad. So yeah, it's becoming more and more international, and that was at that point in time the decision to reduce risks, to spread your business a little bit, not to other domains, but around the world at least. And but now we're starting to look into other domains. I mean, we've done a few avionics projects and some other stuff. It was very interesting to see that they're facing very similar problems. But I mean, I don't want to get too technical now, but in avionics, all the model-based stuff plays a very important role. But sometimes the gap between the model, the theory, and the real world is bigger than I expected. And at some point you need to go down to the low levels and understand what's really going on in your system. So other domains are relevant. Last year we looked into rail, and to be honest, we're a bit disappointed. So for us, the railway market is a little bit too small. So for us, the number of projects is really relevant, embedded software projects. And I just have to go to one of the big automotive tier ones, and like one subdomain from them is bigger than the whole railway market.
Absolutely. So how big are your typical engineering projects? How many people are deployed in one project? So I know your product. I know your product. So I know the scope, the workshop that you offer, the regular thing that you offer. I'm more thinking about the engineering service that is probably a bigger part of the pie.
So for the embedded systems, it's in the meantime it's really the licenses that's the bigger part of the pie. But and there we are not doing too much actually. So the engineering services in this, let's say, product non-engineering company in the embedded systems, Gliwa Embedded Systems, is mainly the integration of our product into the customer's environment, which takes around about 2 to 4 days, you could say, and then it's integrated and that's it. So that's the main engineering focus we have in the embedded systems. The Gliwa engineering, there we have really long-lasting projects. So just to mention one, with a German OEM, we have been setting up and developing their own process-in-the-loop environment. So, and we're turning that into a product now. Like a big number of model-based software developers, we're talking about over 200, and then in a continuous integration environment, they want to very quickly get feedback about what they're trying to push, what they're trying to commit. Any software change, they want to have immediate feedback about the resource consumption, so timing-wise, stack, memory, and that kind of setup. And as you can imagine, I mean, when we talk about this scale, that's a project that runs for at least 2 years and a couple of engineers on our side.
Sounds really fascinating. So I'm gonna go back to your entrepreneurial spirit. How did you get started? So again, I respect you so much for your technical expertise as well as for your entrepreneurial success. Now, when you're really good at technical stuff, even Bill Gates had that problem, that when you delegate, you expect too much and you get disappointed. So this is something that Bill Gates talked about, that he had to lower his expectation. Did you have such problem?
Yes and no. Mainly no.
All right.
So, I mean, we hired developers, and they were so absolutely, they were so good. For example, embedded software. So at the beginning, I did the embedded software part myself. And so our product is a tracing-based solution. And when you talk about software instrumentation, tracing-based, so when you instrument the software, you always have this question regarding the overhead. What's the impact on the existing software? And I invested some time to reduce the overhead, but then to see how much my successor, squeezed out of what I provided, it was. I almost felt ashamed, because he really reduced it a lot. So that worked very well. Same for the sales part. I mean, I like talking about the things, but when it comes to negotiation and these kind of things, I'm not good. So I'm very happy to have others, and to let them do it. They're so much better. Marketing is something we need to look into. So there's a lot of room for improvement there. But again, I mean, if you have such a strong pull from the market and you're on the limit of what you can deliver, having big investments in marketing does make sense. You cannot really handle the requests you're going to get. So our main channel regarding marketing and sales is really word of mouth. That's the most important one. But at some point that will change, and then we have marketing. But I mean, coming back to your question about delegation and disappointment, at some points, yes, then you run into situations where you say, okay, now we've been looking into this topic for so many years now, and I don't see any huge big improvement. What's the matter? And yeah, we've been internally restructuring the whole software. It's all grown, and you need to do some tidy up job. And yeah, but does it need to take so much time? And there are sometimes discussions like that going on. At the same time, it's interesting to see that our customers face the same situation. So I still go to customers like 2 or 3 times a year doing really low-level engineering. So these firefighting projects, starting point very often is that everybody's occupied, and then you just get another phone call, and either we say no, sorry, we can't, we no resources, or we say okay, I'm going to do it. So and in the meantime, I found that I will keep doing that. Well, at least that's the plan. No matter what what the size of the company is, to just not to make sure not to lose touch to the low level on the one hand, and also to the customer, and also to see some stupid behavior of our tool. So sometimes our developers they could watch customers using it a little more often. But so I'm not saying we're having big problems there, but it's just a great advantage if you're not losing touch with the low level. So just go to customers and put on your Wellington boots and walk through the mud and really get going.
Get going.
That really helps.
So now I have to ask you this question: how did you recruit such great people? What was your recruitment strategy?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, many of those guys who work for Gliwa, they just got in touch with the product, and they talked to our engineers, and at some point they just said, actually, yeah, sounds like a good place to work at. So, for example, last year we hired somebody from South Korea. So he saw a presentation of the tool from our distributor in Korea, and most customers say, yeah, I want to use that tool, and he said, yeah, I want to work for that company. So he got in touch, and so he really relocated from Korea. So he now lives in Germany with family, kids and everything. For us it's a great situation, because what we're trying to do, and again, general recommendation for other people running business. If you're doing international business, ideally you really have a native speaker for each company, for each country you're selling your tools into. So we have Chinese guys, we have a French guy, we have this Korean guy, and it really gives you a very close link to your customers, to potential customers, if they, if you just have a native speaker. So what we do is, when we have presentations just recently we had an in-house workshop in Finland, for example, where we presented our tools, and we knew there were Korean potential customers. So our sales guy, he took that, he took our Korean engineer with him, and they just loved it, because he translated, he got down to their level, he understood their questions, and that was a very good fit.
Fascinating. So now the question I wanted to ask you is, you started as a product company and scaled with engineering. This is how...
Yeah, sorry, it's really a bit confusing, isn't it? So it started with a product, but at the beginning we didn't even sell it. So we only sold the engineering. So that was the door opener effect. So we sold the engineering, and customers got the product for free. At some point we introduced license fees, and from then on, the engineering became less and less and less, and the license turnover went up, and the share actually. And at some point we figured out, okay, we get so many engineering requests, not closely related to the tool itself, but related more to, okay, now you've integrated it, can you help us using it? Can you simply, automate all our tests and these kind of questions? So at that point, then we decided to found the Gliwa Engineering, which is really focusing on the engineering only. So it's kind of from product to engineering, or with a product start the engineering, then more to a product company, and then a second company for dedicated engineering.
Love that. So for anyone who's starting an engineering business, engineering service business, what would you recommend? I've seen young startups, youngsters, they get too focused with the product before even looking into the market. Or I've also seen the other way around, too much focus on the services, headcount, and never really develop a product. Which is your recommendation? Which way to go? I really love that you developed your product while offering the services. Probably it got developed incrementally, and you also had revenue coming from your services. This is a great model.
So the recommendation would be to, as mentioned before, really have a good technical solution. So not trying to tell stories. Maybe the, let's say, underlying recommendation is honesty. Right? If you lie to customers, sooner or later you won't be, it'll all come back. You won't be successful. It's very difficult to build up a good reputation based on lies. So honesty, with a good technical solution, you don't need lies. You sell it. It's a question of whether you approach more from the low level, whether you try to get the engineers engaged, or whether you address more the management level. maybe that's to some extent question of taste. So we always started low level with the low level. I don't play golf. I would love to, but anyway. No, so really, we talk to the software developers, to the integrators. So start on that level, and then do a project, be successful, and make your customer talk about it to their colleagues, to other projects in the customer, inside the company. That's really one very big aspect. And if that succeeds, then you really have a perfect situation, because then you have your, let's say, your most important sales guys are not, they don't receive any money from you. They're not your employees. These are the happy customers.
These are the happy customers. I couldn't agree more. I mean, honesty and building trust, building relationship has also been the motto of my entrepreneurship, and this is, I think, the best way to go. Couldn't agree more. 100% honesty, authenticity. There's nothing better than authenticity. Yeah. So, if you have, from your entrepreneurship journey, one advice that you would like to give to aspiring entrepreneurs, what would that be?
Yeah, summarizing would be really have a good technical solution, be honest about it, and then just do it.
And just do it, just try.
Just try.
Yeah.
There's hardly anything to lose.
There's hardly anything to. This is what I tell my boys. If we try, I cannot guarantee that we'll be successful, but there's one thing I can tell you: if you do not try, we will not be successful.
Absolutely.
All right. So Peter, it was lovely having you. Thanks for joining us. If you have any question, comments, please write us below. You can write to podcast@matrix.de. Thank you so much for watching. It was Peter Gliwa from Gliwa Embedded Systems.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In this podcast show, we bring in the industry leaders and experts in the automotive domain to share their experiences along their journey. The mission of our podcast is to start a dialogue that will allow us to understand the development of automotive industry and where the automotive industry is going. You can ask questions to our guests directly. Just send us an email to podcast@matrix.de. We'll schedule a call with you during the recording and you'll be part of our show. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any new episodes. Please share this video to help others get enlightened as well, and that would mean a great deal to us. See you in the next episode.